Hello and a very warm welcome on behalf of NTI Audio. The topic of today is unattended noise monitoring solutions. Actually, NTI Audio is offering 3 different ways to set up such a unattended noise monitoring station, which we want to present to you in this webinar. But first of all, let me please introduce myself. My name is Markus Becker. I'm moderating this presentation and I'm assisted today by Berno Niksch, our sales director. He is taking care of your questions during the presentation and after that. The topics that we have prepared for you start with an overview on these 3 setups, followed by some information about the data management. This is a key parameter that differentiates between these 3 solutions. We will talk about power supply, also about outdoor protection of your noise monitor, and I will give you a brief overview on the accessories that you may use. We have also prepared a practical presentation for you, followed by some information about data analysis, post-processing of the recorded data, then a summary of the key issues of this webinar, and some additional hints and tips. At the very end, I will come back to the questions that have popped in and possibly add some additional information. I expect that this webinar will last about half an hour. So let us first take a closer look at these 3 setups that we are offering. The first one is what we call the autonomous operation. Here you need an XL2 with a microphone, typically the outdoor microphone, of course also a power supply, but the key is that you set up this instrument with a microphone, you switch it on, you record the levels that you're interested in, but there is no further interaction between this system and the outer world. So unless you come back to that station and change the settings or terminate the recording, it will just keep going without any data exchange to any other instance. An alternative is the gateway mode. Here we have also the XL2 instrument with the outdoor microphone, but in addition also a netbox that is connected via wireless, for instance a mobile data network, to an SFTP server, which is then connected to the PC in your office. And by this connection you may not only control the noise monitor from your PC, but you may also upload the recorded data from the noise monitor to your office. And a third way to setting up such a unattended noise monitoring station would be the managed mode. Here you need again a noise monitor, XL2, microphone and netbox. Here in between we have the Noise Scout server, which is a cloud service, and from this server you may interact with the PC in your office. So here it is similar to the gateway mode, but the major difference is that this Noise Scout platform is a very comfortable solution, meaning that it provides a lot of automated procedures. You do not have to worry about the setup about, for instance, if the levels that you are monitoring would exceed a threshold. In that case, you receive automatically an email which alerts you that something has happened and it's worth looking into the system. So these 2 solutions, the gateway mode and the managed mode together, is what we call Noise Scout system. You have the choice between these 2 of them. Well, the key challenges of all 3 solutions are the data management. And here I have to mention that both the autonomous operation and the gateway mode require that you manually interact with the device, with the system, to gather your data. Here in the managed mode, this is done automatically, but the other 2 solutions require a manual interaction by yourself. Next point is the power supply. I will come back to that topic in a minute. same as for the outdoor protection. So let us take a closer look at this data management issue. Let us start with the autonomous operation. The XL2 has an onboard SD card which may be covering up to 32 GB of memory. So you may save your level data or audio data on that SD card. However, it is obvious that the memory is limited in that case, and especially for longer recording periods when you also include audio data, you may run out of memory. So in that case, it is advisable to add a hard disk drive to your noise monitor. Well, you see it down here. In that case, we also have to add a netbox. However, in this case, without antenna, it is not necessary that you have a connection from the netbox to any system, to any server. You can just use it as an interface between the XL2 and your hard disk. So by this, you extend the memory, the available memory for your data recording as far as the memory of the hard disk. Keep in mind, the setup of your noise monitor, of this whole system here, and also the data collection have to be done manually. So when you want to get the data that have been recorded, you have to walk to that location and you have to copy the data from the hard disk to your PC. The second solution, the gateway mode. Here we have a connection between the netbox and the SFTP server. And similar as with the autonomous operation, you have to do that manually. So I will show you that in my practical presentation, but most steps required here have to be done by yourself. A new feature that is supported in the gateway mode is what we call the sleep timer, which means that you can put your noise monitor into an idle state where it wakes up at a later point in order to save power. I will show you that on the next slide in more detail. And the third solution, the managed mode, here we have the Noise Scout platform that collects the data, that visualizes the level data. So here we have the most comfortable solution. Furthermore, as stated before, we have automated email alerts in case that one or several sound levels exceed the defined limits. The only thing you have to do manually here would be at the very end of your recording. If you want to import the data to your Data Explorer software for post-processing, you have to do that manually. Now, here on this slide, I'm going to explain a little bit more detail this sleep timer. You see here we have an XL2 schematically connected to a netbox. We have a power supply. So what we can do now, we can add this small print, this small device here. It's a digital I/O board that is connected to a switch, and through this connection here, this is a cable connection to the digital I/O output of the XL2. Well, this setup allows us to switch off the netbox through that print, through that PCB at a certain time. We can program the XL2 in a way that it switches off the netbox from the power supply, and it also itself, it goes into a sleep mode. Internally, the real-time clock is continuing to work, and this real-time clock will also wake up the system, but in this status shown here, we have minimum power consumption of our noise monitor. And as soon as the time has elapsed and the wake-up time has come, the XL2 switches itself on again, as well as through that PCB, the netbox, and you are online again, and the whole noise monitor is working as required. Keep in mind that this feature is only available in gateway mode. So we have minimized power consumption, and the master of this whole procedure is in the XL2. Now we are already at the next related issue, the power supply. And here we are differentiating between two different solutions or two different setups. The first one is where AC mains power is available. That makes our work much simpler. The only thing we have to worry about is interrupts of the mains power supply, blackouts. So we possibly need a solution with a backup battery that would buffer such a power loss. One solution could be the XL2 battery. I show you how that works. Here we have our noise monitor. We have a power plug. We can plug our supply here into that plug and connect it to the net box and the XL2. So from here we get all required power. And just in case that this power fails, we would have the internal battery within the XL2, which would continue to run that sound level meter for a while in order not to miss any important event, any sound level during the downtime. Keep in mind, please, that this internal battery only operates the XL2 up to 4 hours. The data are safe on the SD card, but the battery does not power the net box, and for that, during that downtime, you have no connection, no remote access to your noise monitor. The second solution would be with an external backup battery. So here you're connecting this backup battery to the input from the net box, to the power input. You can even add a separate charger for that external battery. And in case that there is a power loss failure, then the battery would power the system, both the XL2 and the net box, during the downtime. So we have remote data access secured to the whole noise monitor. The only thing you have to be very careful about is the right electronics to connect your battery to your noise monitor. The background here is there are a lot of different battery types available on the market: lead batteries, lithium batteries, different capacities, different connectors. So it is important that you make yourself acquainted with the requirements of the battery you have chosen so that it fits to the power supply of the noise monitor. Unfortunately, it is not possible to provide a general solution that works for all occasions. You really have to find out what are your demands, then select the battery, and then the appropriate charger. Now, the second case regarding power supply is where we have no mains power available. So we need an autonomous supply in that case. Here we can, of course, again work with an external battery with the restriction that this battery has a limited capacity, and when it's empty, then the noise monitor cannot operate any longer. So for that reason, a possible solution would be to connect that battery to a solar panel, to a power source that can provide enough power during the day to both run the noise monitor and to charge the battery. And during night time, the power flow gets inverted, meaning it comes from the battery and goes into the noise monitor. Same as on the slide before, the crucial part here is this box, this charger, which handles the different power flows from the solar panel to the noise monitor, to the battery, from the battery to the noise monitor. So here you need to make a careful selection of the electronics that can handle this challenge. Once again, there is no general solution for that. So if you need support here, please contact us. Possibly we can provide some support for you. Well, on this slide, I want to schematically show you the challenges that you have to cope with when you set up your noise monitor out in the field, exposed to the weather and everything. This is just an example. It can look completely different, but I want to explain to you the key aspects that need to be considered. The first one would be water, either rain from above or some water coming from below. So it is advisable to place the cabinet or the case in which your noise monitor is located a little bit with a distance to the ground so that water from below cannot flow in, or that the rain coming from above can also drop down from your case. And if you need a cable connection to the outside, which is quite obvious that you need that, or please select a waterproof connector. Next, your noise monitor is probably exposed to sunlight, and that can result in pretty high temperatures inside the box. And in order to cope with that, to keep that heat inside as low as possible, you should use a bright colored box or even an aluminum cover. I will show you a concrete example just in a minute. Next point, wind, strong wind, storms. So especially when you have a solar panel mounted to a pole, you have to make sure that in case of strong wind, the whole thing doesn't go down. So you have to fix it. You have to fasten it in a rugged way. Could be with these wires, could be with other solutions, but you really have to take care that this is strong enough, this pole is strong enough to withstand the wind. And last but not least, birds. We realized that birds like to attack outdoor microphones for the simple reason because they believe that they are an enemy. And a countermeasure is that you place the microphone aside of the tip of the pole, because in that case the bird gets less angry and is more likely not to attack your microphone. So a brief look on the accessories you need for your noise monitor aside of the XL2. You need the netbox as the interface. You need an outdoor protection, either be it a cabinet or such a case, depending on what you prefer. You need the weather protection for your microphone, and optionally you can also connect a weather station to the noise monitor. This is a new feature that we have implemented recently. So this allows you also not only to log the sound levels, but also wind speed during the recording period. These are some examples of actual setups out in the field. Here you see such a microphone that has been attacked by a bird. You see deep cuts here in the foam. You see the bird spike has been broken off. So it is advisable, as we said here, it's not set clearly, but that you place the microphone aside of the pole tip. Here we have a heavy-duty case with a lead battery inside to either buffer or just to provide the required power for your noise monitor. Here we have a cabinet which is standing a little bit lifted, so not directly on the ground. This would be an example of the inside of such a cabinet. On here we have this aluminum cover that helps us to prevent excessive heat inside the cabinet. Well, I'm at the point of my practical presentation. I have here an XL2 on my desk together with a netbox connected actually via Ethernet to the internet, and on my PC I can now get direct access to this noise monitor. And for that purpose, I will also show you the screen content of the XL2 with webcam. So this is just to give you an optical feedback during the presentation. You're going to see that in a minute. Now I switch over. So this is our Noise Scout website. Here you enter the whole system by just logging in. You're using your username and password from your MyNTI Audio account, and you end on this page, and here you can see all the noise monitors that are connected to your system. I have two of them here, 1 and 2. I will come back to the second one afterwards. Just right now I want to focus on this one here, and you can see here it is in the gateway mode. This is actually the switch where you select whether you want to operate the system in the gateway mode or in the managed mode. For this presentation, I will restrict myself to the gateway mode, and I enter this mode by clicking on Visit. Once again, I have to enter my password, and I'm here on that side. So here you can see first of all the screen content of my XL2. You see it corresponds to the screen that you see on the webcam. I have also full access to my XL2. These are the buttons. This is to control the cursor, and these are the buttons of the XL2. So by clicking, for instance, on this one, I switch to the spectrum mode. So you see it immediately reacts. So I have full access to all the features of my XL2. Here in this box, you see the information, the status information of the XL2, the serial number, firmware version, the amount of free memory. I will come back to this timetable in a minute. Also the information from the connected net box and the network that we are using. Right now it's the Ethernet as stated. And right now I'm the only person who has access to this noise monitor, but you could even access it with through a second channel, so even 2 operators could get access to this, or 3 to that noise monitor if necessary. So let me briefly switch over to the settings. Here the settings, you see I can adjust the time zone of my noise monitor, and here I can activate this sleep timer. So here I can decide whether the system shall wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go to sleep at 9 o'clock in the evening and wake up again the next day at 6 or not. And I can also activate the weather station, which is possibly connected to my system. With XL2 means that the weather data will only be logged if the XL2 is working. So if it's active up here, otherwise if I click to on, it would be a permanent logging, but I leave it as it is here. Well, if you want to share this view with somebody else without granting him access, you could give him this guest link. So you can copy that link and send it to any other third person who is then able to watch what is going on here without any direct access, but he can watch it. And down here, this is another feature that we are supporting in the gateway mode. Let's assume you are responsible for the sound levels in a festival. You have several stages, you have several noise monitors, and you want to make sure that the sound levels at each stage stay within the legal limits. So you can define the sound levels you want to monitor and the limits. And then I show you what the purpose is, because here, if we switch to the XL view, you see here these 3 levels that I have selected, and the color of these numerical results change with the actual level. So green means below the given limit, orange means close to it, and red would mean exceeding the given limit. So in this way you have a very direct, very immediate feedback on the status of your noise monitors when you are sitting in the control room. Going back to the status view, now you see this line has changed. Now I'm seeing also the start and the stop time of my noise monitor. And I also want to show you 2 more features of this website. First of all, let's say you want to know what has happened with my noise monitor. Have there been any incidents? You can see that down here on this list with the timestamp and what has happened. And the last thing I want to show you is so far you see only the data, the actual situation, the actual status of your noise monitor, but maybe you want to download the data, the recorded data. So you can do that very easily, and this box gives you some support to get there. Actually, you need a software that is able to connect through that SFTP client. Here we have 2 examples of software packages that are freely available. And I'm going to show you this WinSCP right now. This is how the software looks when I start it. So I need a host name. The host name is this one here. So I can copy and paste it. The username is actually the serial number of the netbox. And your MyNTI Audio password. I confirm. The system connects, and now you see here on the right hand side I have direct access to the netbox, to the XL2, to the memory of the XL2. So all the project data, all the level recordings we will find here, I can open that, and now I can even copy and paste any data file from here to my PC. So you have permanent and direct access to these data that are going to be recorded on our noise monitor. So I switch that off again, and I go back to my dashboard. I log out. Here my dashboard. Just one more side note, the reason why I restrict myself to the gateway mode is because we have already had a webinar on the managed mode. You will find the corresponding recording on our website. Now a few more words about this second noise monitor. You see here a red information, the firmware update. You see it also here, the firmware of this noise monitor is younger, this one is older. So this is a very nice feature of our platform. You can very easily update the firmware of the connected netbox or of the connected XL2 by just clicking on this button, and then the whole procedure will be executed automatically and remotely, which means you do not have to walk to the noise monitor, you do not have to have manual access to it. You can just do that from your office. It's very comfortable and safe. Good. Let me get back to my presentation. As stated in the beginning, you will most probably also want to analyze the data to execute some post-processing. And for that purpose, we have the Data Explorer software. By the way, we have already also had a webinar on this software package, so you will also find it on our website. Here, I just want to briefly point out some key features and some new features. The concatenation of projects is a new feature, which means you can monitor, for instance, for a while, close or terminate the monitoring, reopen it after a while, close it again, reopen it again as many times as you want, and then put the whole data of these 3 or more projects into one file, so you have the view of the whole recording periods, one after the other. The times in between are automatically highlighted so that you know when the noise monitor was down, but this is a very nice new feature which is coming up with the next version of the Data Explorer. The visualization of the recorded levels is a standard feature. Also the audio file playback here, up here, the blue bar shows you that there are audio data available. You can replay them. We can set user-defined markers, so not only these automated markers, but here this would be a user-defined marker, which indicates a very high level that has been recorded. And you can calculate lots of statistical data. You can calculate the rating level. By the way, we have also had specific webinars on these topics. Coming to the last slide of my presentation, I showed you the gateway and the managed mode. You saw that the access is typically done via the Noise Scout website, or talking about the gateway mode, you can also do that by yourself by using an SFTP server, for instance, with the software that I showed to you. And once again, the hint that we have a fully automated firmware update procedure implemented. Next, when you are setting up a noise monitor, take a closer look at the power supply, select an appropriate power serve that is powerful enough, take a look at the handling of power fails, whether you want to buffer such events with a backup battery. Very important, take a close look at the compatibility between the power source, the recharger, the electronics, and the battery so that they fit together. And keep in mind that in the gateway mode, you can also minimize the power consumption at certain times with this sleep mode, a sleep timer. It is quite obvious when you set up a system in the field, it shall be prepared appropriately for the environmental conditions, be it heat, strong wind, rain, whatever. I showed you the parameters that need to be observed. And last but not least, If you have any special requirements, just giving you an example, could be the time synchronization of your system. We can do that. We have implemented such features already for customers. So if you need anything special, please let us know. We are always happy to learn about your demands and implement them whenever possible. Well, I'm at the end of the presentation. I just want to point out once again that we have a very tight sales and support network worldwide, which will be happy to support you in case you need any information. Here on this website, you will find all the contact addresses, and here on that website, you will find all the webinar recordings so far, and also the one from this presentation in the near future. From my side, I want to thank you very much for your interest. I hope I was able to answer most of your questions, and of course, I would be very happy to welcome you again at one of our future webinars. So thank you very much for your attention, and have a good day. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.